let's do it. I don't know. I feel like it's not easy on purpose. I think there's a bit of deliberate nature with Animal Crossing. I think they deliberately try to slow you down, put things in the way. They give you some options, but not all options. I think there is a lot of that stuff, but it is that team's first time approaching doing that sort of content. So I give them a benefit of the doubt on that version. So curious to see what they think is a future one. All right, let's do it. Let's get into the news. News time. If I can spell news. Alrighty, chatty Rooney. It is news day. We have some news to go through for the 28th of 5th, 2022. So it is May, the literal end of May. June is about to drop, which means that we are in the Gamers Month, the Announcements Month. So generally June is when we get all our events. So we're probably going to see a lot of things get announced very shortly. Indies are trying to get themselves out there as soon as possible, but we are, and Sunbreak at the very end, but the big gamer shows are usually this month. However, we will find that we are not going to probably see as many big shows as we have prior. If you guys have not seen, E3 is kind of basically shut down. I don't even know if they're ever gonna, it might be the end of E3, who knows. Even if everything opens up, still unsure whether or not it will return. But they're very much focusing on the idea of physical not being the focus anymore, and we're moving to a digital landscape. So we're actually finding this weird mid-ground between what Japan has done for a very long time and what the West is, which is very sort of focused events managed by individual groups and stuff like that. I'll have to watch that later, Kit. Usually I can see what it is, but I, again, can't play that on stream. Who watches E3 now or goes? Well, it hasn't been on for a few years, but E3 is, I love E3. I'll be disappointed if it goes away, because I think it's the Super Bowl of the video game industry. It is the thing that gets everyone's eyes on, and it gives you a good idea of what is going on. Most devs have their own, like Nintendo. That's the thing. I think we're now in a realm of most of them want to do it a lot more individualized, which is for better or worse. I miss E3 for the memes. Yeah. I think the awkward show that is all of the events during E3 were so worth it. I love it. I know a lot of people, it wasn't their cup of tea, and I know that it's like they won't necessarily miss it, but I think it's just a little sad to have an event like that I felt like a cornerstone of the industry kind of go away for sort of a more fluid version of what it will be. But it makes sense. I think it has their positives and negatives. I think events like that have positive and negatives. I would say the same thing with the new formats, but they're still trying to find their footing, and we'll see how they go. E3 and the Game Awards are good for memes. Well, the thing is, the Game Awards will definitely be around. I think we've got a scenario here where Jeff has gone and set up his own little summer of games, which is his pseudo replacement for E3, but he already runs the Game Awards, and the Game Awards already has a lot of stuff, but it's a single day event versus a multi-day event or a multi-time event that I think that the Summer of Games can, I think it still has that energy, but the bigger IPs are still, they're wanting to do their own thing, and I think that's where it becomes a bit of everyone having their own little space, but then everyone's kind of fighting for time. So it's going to be a little bit more of a shotgun approach, I think, now for getting news for stuff like this, but I think it should still be fun. We still have like Gamescom, we still have Japan's expos. Like, we will still get time period focused ones, but it definitely feels like they're moving, I wouldn't say on their way out, but they're moving in a different direction. Because people will still want to go places in person to see games, but I don't know if they want to go and sit in a seminar hall and look at people on a stage. I feel like, I don't know if they necessarily need a crowd, but the crowd energy sometimes changes the dynamic, I think. It's a weird thing for video games. It's still a weird thing for video games. But let's do it. Let's jump on in. Let's start with some general news, shall we? Dragon's Dogma 10th anniversary website art revealed. So if you guys haven't seen, there's a 10th anniversary for Dragon's Dogma. I absolutely adore this game. A lot of the DNA from this game ended up coming into sort of philosophies for making Monster Hunter in the modern sense. There's just a lot there from like DNA between the two teams. And what's crazy about it is that we never got a Dragon's Dogma sequel. It's high time, and it feels like that the cult following that this game has, because if you've ever spoken to someone who's played this game, a lot of people either love it or hate it, but the people who love it are eagerly waiting for a sequel, and I am one of them. And it feels like they've teased it quite a few times. If you haven't seen, there is a leak, a Capcom leak that happened quite a while ago now that did have Dragon's Dogma in there. But there is a tease on this website that there is something more coming, which, come on. Like, I would love them to do something. I mean, Itsuno is now no longer working on DMC. Like, he's finished DMC 5. I don't know if we're going to see another DMC for quite some time, even though DMC 5 did very well. But it would be amazing for him to move back to the project, to take a couple of Capcom devs. Who knows, it may have been the reason why Sunbreak is in a weird place, because they're split between 3 projects of Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter World 2, and this. Really hard to tell from the outside in, but I really would like to see this game get an announcement sometime soon. We'll see. We'll see. Hold on to that thought. Please remake DMC 2. Like, as in remake, as in fix it, mix up, or straight up just a modern port? Because I don't know about that. Lord of the Rings Gollum launches September 1st for all platforms, except for Switch. We'll get it later. Now, I'm not particularly interested in this game. I think this is still a very strange game. It's basically seeming to be Thief, but a weird colorized art style version. And I don't know. I'm not quite sure who this game is for necessarily. I feel like Lord of the Rings games have not sold particularly well in a while, and it reminds me of the original Hobbit game that was on the GameCube, and it's, I don't know. I think that it's like, this is an interesting project. I don't know if this will necessarily do well. It looks like it has a decent amount of funding in it. As you can see from the screenshots, it looks like they've gone very much heavy into personality for this particular game, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if this game does any good, but I'm not sure I've seen anyone talking about how they're looking forward to this one. People want a sequel to the DMC reboot? There's no way. No one wants that. If anyone wants the DMC reboot, then they don't want Devil May Cry. They just want a terrible game. I really don't like Team Ninja. I'm gonna be honest. I cannot stand that game. That makes me very angry. But like, I would love DMC 5 to get a sequel. Even though it is a little weird in itself. Very, very weird. Devil May Cry is a weird modern thing now, but it was also on PS2 and Xbox. Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't realize that. I got it on the GameCube first. But yeah, no, that was a weird little game. But early entry for a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff for people of that age, I think. Yoshitaka Amano draws Batman for the Detective Comics cover. If you guys haven't seen this, it wasn't Team Ninja. Oh, Ninja Theory. Sorry, mix up. You're totally right. I always get them confused because they both got Ninja. I like Team Ninja. I like Team Ninja. I don't like Ninja Theory. I think that if the DMC reboot wasn't a DMC title, it would have been way better. Maybe. I still hated the dialogue. that the dialogue and the energy in that game, not great. But I kind of agree, Red Rover. I think if that was just its own IP as an action game, it would have been serviceable. I probably would have been okay with it, but I think the dialogue and the fact that it shits on the legacy of Devil May Cry made me very angry. And I think that's a big part of it. Also, the music was real hit and miss. And that's the same how I feel about DMC5, but yes, if you haven't seen, Amano has done various covers various times for different IPs. He's done Batman a few times, actually. I think he must be a big Batman fan, but this is gorgeous. This is so good. I love his artwork. Not quite sure what's up with all the dragons, but I don't know if they're meant to be bat-like creatures, but this is very nice. So supposedly it's based on this artwork here, which is by Evan Kegel, which I'm not really sure what's happening here. I don't read Batman at all, but I think I like this a lot more. It was a solid 7 out of 10. Yeah, I kind of agree. It was a serviceable game. I don't think it was terrible, but it was definitely it didn't play like Devil May Cry. You couldn't play it the same. It was very much just alternating between two, like light and dark, pretty much. Boot man. Well, he does look like a big boot, doesn't he? Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak weapon videos are now complete. If you guys have been following Monster Hunter, they've been doing lots of little drops, as they usually do for new content. Rather than doing big old displays this time, they've been just doing lots of smaller videos, and they've shown off pretty much all the weapons. If you have not seen, there is very big discourse, unfortunately, within the Monster Hunter community right now because of a couple of imbalances between new stuff for different weapons and things like that, which I hate to break it to people, Monster Hunter has always been imbalanced around its weapons. Some weapon classes are just better than others, unfortunately. But it seems like it's come to a boil point that they showed off the lance next to the longsword. Longsword has always been the best melee weapon by far. With all its counterplay, it's just gotten better and better. And the new moves look like it might take it to another level again, which people are very disappointed because Lance got nothing. But I mean, the Lance is the Lance. I feel like Lance players want to play how Lance is. I don't know how many actual Lance players are disappointed by this news. But I've seen a lot of other people complaining about it because I feel like they just want to complain about Longsword, I think, honestly. But it's kind of now a scenario where we have gotten a lot of the reveals for how the weapon's going to work. We're getting lots of little other bits and pieces, and we will probably get a direct sometime soon with some more little drops and pieces because it is very close. We are a month away from the release of Sunbreak, and they have not revealed all the monsters or a couple other things. I just use Greatsword because I have no brains. Me too, mixed up. I love my Greatsword. I think you can do some really cool stuff with it in Sunbreak, not Sunbreak, Rise. But I definitely think the version in GU is just perfect. I love it so much because the versatility, different ways to play, and it's satisfying to play that weapon. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Monster Hunters, you find your weapon and just enjoy it. Like, find the things that you enjoy. I think it's just a little interesting that people are very, very, very vocal right now, and we'll see if Monster Hunter makes any changes, but they kind of don't. I feel like people underestimate the things they're requesting. That's quite a big change they're asking, so who knows. Wild Pokemon can be used in Pokemon Unite in a catch 'em all battle mode. So I have not played Unite since it released. It's been chugging along, it's getting new content. Sounds like people are still playing it. I still see news about it every now and then. But it looks like there's a new game mode coming, which is pretty cool, which means you will be able to play as the boss monsters, which that's pretty cool. Like, you'll be able to play as the field monsters. I don't really know how this works. I don't know if you kill them, you capture them, and then swap. So they have a full moveset. That's pretty cool. That's really fun. That really changes things up. Wait, so you can straight up just be Electrode, self-destruct, and then... Huh. This is pretty cool. This is actually really, really cool. So you can be Zapdos, so you can be the boss monster like Regigigas and Articuno and stuff. Wow. That seems really, really OP. This seems like crazy OP. I don't know how they've balanced this. But that's pretty fun. I actually think it's a 4v4 mode. Okay. So it's not a full team mode. That's pretty cool. I'm into that. I don't know if I return to Unite specifically to play that, but that's a nice change. I don't even think Dota or Leagues have done something like that before. I still mess with the sword and shield in World. Someone's told me that that weapon besides daggers, that good button masher. It's very much a button masher. I think that's the thing. Just play around with weapons. Like, some weapons you'll feel, some weapons you won't, and that's okay. I don't think every weapon needs to feel like the same. I think my worry is I don't want homogenization to happen to Monster Hunter. I'll be honest. If every weapon has a counter, every weapon has a block, every weapon has a guard point, you're taking away from other weapons' uniqueness. You have to be really careful about that stuff to not take away from weapons' identities. But leaning into some of their identities too much can then also force people to recognize things that are more powerful as a setup type than others, which the Longsword has in terms of its dodge counter mechanics. I still have friends that play Unite and they haven't mentioned this yet. I think this just got announced. It will appear in the game on May 30th, so it will drop in a few days' time. So it's very, very close. It doesn't look, it's not balanced. I can't imagine it'd be balanced. I cannot imagine that'd be balanced. Mario Strikers Battle League first kick demo takes the field. So if you guys are interested in Mario Strikers, I never played the original. I never liked the aesthetic to it. I still am not into it now. But people say this is one of the best sports games franchises that they're excited to see come back. So I imagine lots of people are excited for this one. I think this is still a interesting one to pick up on after so much time, but we'll see if it works. But people, I think, are genuinely excited for this. I know a streamer is so hyped for this. I think that's the thing. I think people who played the original are probably the people who are the most excited for this, because it's hard to, sort of looking at it, it's hard to tell how engaging, how exciting it is in a sense. But I think that people want a bit more Nintendo and they like a bit of sport, bit of party sport games. I think this is for them. I think it's very much for them. All right. Any announcements? Actually, there is. There actually is a few announcements here that kind of took me by surprise. Some cool stuff in here. Kiyomi. I was not expecting this. Consider online for PC launches in early access. They're adding online to Kiyomi. If you did not watch me play this game in the past, I played both 1 and 2. They're very fun, silly Japanese games. Genuinely, if you've not picked these up on the Switch 1 and 2, please go do so. They're amazing. Or you could hold on out if you've got a group of friends that you want to play with and pick it up on Switch, on Steam. Oh, it's a free download. It's actually just going to straight up be free. Yeah, maybe I'll have to play with some of my friends here. But this is if you've never seen this game, I'll give you a little taster. But this is a very silly game. Kukiyomi essentially means like manners. Do you have good manners? And it's kind of got a WarioWare charm to it. Oh look, there's a lobby now. They must have made, so this game is actually quite old. And what's interesting about it now is that it is being given new life on the Switch, and people have refound it, purchased it. It's global, and it's taken off again, and they've made money. It's enough to continue deving it, which is kind of bizarre. So this is kind of hard to tell from what's happening here. But essentially, each of these is a mini game that they're doing. Like they're doing it at the same time. I don't think this is particularly a great trailer, but it's a very fun game. Very, very simple trailer. It doesn't even really show off the base Kukiyomi, ironically. You can customize avatars. They're really just showing off like new additional features and stuff. Assuming people, they kind of got this assuming people who know it. But yes, I'm very excited. Guilty Gear crossplay beta has been announced. It's here, chat. So if you want to talk about the things that make games, multiplayer games, not just fighting games, last a lot longer, I would say crossplay is the thing. And Guilty Gear kind of needs it. It's kind of slowing down in terms of interest and things like that. Strive is fucking amazing. If you've not played it, go play Strive. I love it so much. But basically, in the latest announcement for the anniversary stream, they've talked about a whole heap of extra changes they're going to do, some balance patches and etc. But crossplay beta coming out, hopefully it gets good in terms of like pings and things like that. But it'll be very interesting to see if this breathes some life back into it. But I'm very excited for this. We may return to this game when this occurs. I probably won't play the beta on stream, but maybe when it fully comes out, I will probably return to it because we'll have a huge amount of new people to play with. I'm not a big sports person. I'm not interested. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, Strikers doesn't really hit me, but we'll see. This battle will be legendary. Hey, medic, welcome on in. Now I can lose to my friends on PC. Well, the only thing is that I'm curious how they're going to handle is people that have modded the shit out of their game on PC, whether or not it can cause any issues with like desyncs or other stuff. People won't. The likelihood of people cheating will be there, but I can't imagine it too big. If you're playing fighting games and someone's cheating, there's not really any point to play the game. They won't be playing long if they're cheating. There's not really much point. Fighting games are fighting games. You play fighting games to get better and play fighting games and have fun. So I can't imagine that'd be too much of a problem, but I think mods where people have like gussied up, prettied up their player models and done all this extra stuff, that can be a problem. And curious whether or not they'll have some sort of things that are restricting that. Speaking of fighting games, Skullgirls' second encore, Black Delilah, has been announced for an alpha, and DLC 4 has been teased. So she looks good. So this is a character that they've been developing for a long time and teased in the game for a very long time, and she's finally getting revealed. But if you've never watched Skullgirls, hang on, we'll get this in high res. I don't know why this is. I don't want this in auto. Always 1080p, please. But if you've not watched Skullgirls, how they dev the game, they are very into showing you non-finished design works, where it's like you can see her moves are all drawn out. She's functionally mostly there. They just need to get the art completed there and maybe work on some of the like hit tests and balances and numbers and stuff like that. But there she is. Like you can straight up see what her gameplay looks like. She kind of reminds me of Elfelt a little bit. Very much a bully, but this has got that Skullgirl speed. And I have not played Skullgirls in a long time, but I can imagine that people who are still playing it are excited for this. And I don't know if she's the last character. No, there we go. There's one more character. I don't know who this is. I don't know if this has been leaked yet, but these characters on this pass have been... I'll put it this way. This girl came out forever ago. Umbrella only recently came out, and Delilah coming out now makes me wonder how long they'll have for the final character. But dude, Skullgirls might be getting its final content piece after all this time. I haven't, but I've never played it. It's very good. The only issue is playing it now, Mix Up. When a game, fighting any multiplayer games, once they've lasted for a certain amount of time, people have figured them out. So unfortunately, the play bracket becomes newer players struggle to find matches against newer players. They'll have to fight veterans, and veterans know everything. And I think that's the hard part about multiplayer, and fighting games are particularly one of those ones, because it is a 1v1 situation, that it becomes hard to continue the lifeblood going without it becoming the divide between the players becoming so harsh. So who knows? I always wondered about like if there'd be like handicappy sort of situations where it's like, so older players have the ability to become like boss characters to people, but they've been given handicaps and stuff like that. They have to play harder so the newer player can learn how to play. But who knows? Well, it's one of those things that maybe one day fighting games will figure it out. But fighting games are not over. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R has got a release date. So this is a remake of the PlayStation 3 game that is incredibly jank. I had a lot of issues with it, and it sounds like they've actually fixed most of the problems that this game has. And it might actually be decent, as well as new characters, new stages, and some improved new moves to some of the characters. And let's just check it out. This is a decently long trailer. If you've not watched JoJo, this is probably not for you, but this is very much made for JoJo fans. It is insane in terms of references. Very, very faithful. So was, I would say, same if you played Eyes on Heaven. Like, there's definitely stuff they made in Eyes on Heaven they're bringing back to this game. But pretty much it covers all the arcs. When this game originally came out, JoJo Line had only just had a few early chapters, so it really hadn't, like, it didn't have a lot to work with JoJo Line. But now Line has finished, so we might see a lot more content from that in this. But alongside the release of Stone Ocean, we might see some Stone Ocean focus in this as well. But I'll jump in a bit further because it pretty much is just showing off the different arcs. But we have some new characters. Speedwagon, which I can imagine people are probably a little excited for this. Speedwagon is like the fan favorite of the first arc. So Maria is a weird pick. So the thing is, I didn't realize how popular she was in Japan. But the thing with Maria is, she was in the original Dreamcast game. So I wonder whether or not there's a bit of that. Same with Pet Shop. Pet Shop was not one I was expecting to see. But I guess it makes sense. Iggy is playable, so having Pet Shop actually works. But this one pairs with, so pretty much we're getting extra villains here for everyone. And Diego having another horse rider, but he can dismount properly, unlike the other two, is going to be interesting, because Steel Ball runs two characters, both fight on horse, and if they get dismounted, it becomes a very weird show. But particularly Jonathan, because that boy can't walk. He is a cripple, unfortunately. And with Diego will dismount and transform into a dinosaur. Like, again, this is all for JoJo fans. You'll all know what I'm talking about. Spoilers if there's also, if you've not watched Stone Ocean, there will be heavy spoilers in this game if you play any of the Stone Ocean parts, and powers and bosses and things like that. So just fair warning if you do end up playing this and you haven't read the manga. But I'm actually excited for this. This game looks like it has gotten a little bit better. I kind of may re-pick this up. This might be something we might play on stream, and then I can just go full JoJo nerd on y'all. Is this? I'm still shocked that this game is come into existence. Honkai Star Rail Serval trailer. I have not actually. I don't know how I missed this, chat. So, Honkai Impact is actually getting a new game. It's called Honkai Star Rail. And it's a turn-based RPG, or strategy RPG. And I straight up didn't see this. So I kind of want to watch this trailer just to know what this game is, because I somehow missed this. Rollback Nectar. Oh, is it still rollback? Oh, God. Well, I guess I'll be playing with Australians then, Medic. So I don't know. I'll have to look at the platform for this. I assume this is every platform, similar to what Mario does for everything else. This is pretty.
Keep up. I move at my own tempo.
This is nice looking. So hang on. So what is this? I want to know what the gameplay is. So she's a rock star? Dude, the visuals are killer in this. Mario's like, their art team is phenomenal. Man, Genshin Impact's money has been well spent. I don't know if the gameplay is any good. I can't tell from that. I can't really tell what that gameplay is. Have they got like a trailer as to what the gameplay is? I kind of want to know, but I guess this is the next thing that's coming, as well as 2 other games from Moyo. But how do you say it? MiHoYo. But yeah, they're making money and doing work. They really became a powerhouse out of nowhere from after Honkai Impact. Like, it's kind of crazy. And I assume, again, does this on all platforms? Yeah, this is on all platforms, or PC, iOS, and Android. So yeah, that actually looks cool. If it's got good gameplay, I may check that game out. Star Wars Jedi Survivor announced for PS5, Xbox, and PC. This is probably the big news that kind of just dropped. So for those who are big fans of Star Wars, particularly the previous Jedi Fallen Order, this is probably going to be an exciting time for you. I never played it. People told me it's a very good game. I'm not so much of a Star Wars fan anymore, but I've heard that it has a lot of, it's kind of Soulsian, supposedly, in terms of game, and people talked up this game. They said it was very good, so a sequel makes sense. And let's jump into the trailer. I honestly will have no idea what's going on in it lore-wise, but let's see how they've made some improvements. MiHoYo? Okay, MiHoYo. So we know that Lucas Games are working on quite a few things at once as well. Is this? Oh, is this just? Please don't tell me this is just a cinematic trailer. It's probably just a cinematic trailer, isn't it? Certainly looks like Star Wars, I'll tell you that. It's good, and I don't even really like Star Wars. That's what I've heard. I just never went around back to it, unfortunately.
What is your next move, Jedi?
Are they making a clone man? What's happening? There's a boy in a tube. Okay. Yeah, that is completely, that trailer is for people who have played the previous game. I have no idea what I just saw there. But I imagine it's a sequel that people are excited for. That's the issue with cinematic trailers sometimes, is if you don't know the lore, you don't really know what's going on. But hopefully someone got something out of that. A little bit more actiony than Dark Souls, but has stamina and stuff. Oh, okay. All right. So it's mostly just a raw action experience. Because I really wasn't sure what people made. People kept telling me it's a Souls-like. I'm like, what do you mean? You die and you have to get your stuff back? I feel like people are very loose with that term, unfortunately. It's closer to Sekiro than Dark Souls. I'd have to watch more. I think I'd have to watch gameplay to really put it, because it sounds like it could be so many different things. Upcoming events. All right, so out of announcements into events. So this is what is probably going to be the startup of our lineup for this year. We're probably going to see these ones first amongst June. So we've got Indie Live Expo Winter 2022. This has just been announced this is the Winter Expo. This is not the one that's coming up. This will be set in November, so it's still this one's quite a while away. But there's 2 or 3 indie expos a year, and as you saw, it was actually a part of the Kiyomi one. They're actually going to be doing one for their Japan stuff, and Japan will have quite a few things during June as well, so we'll keep an eye out for those ones. Speaking of which, Sega new project announcement livestream is set for June 3rd. This is a complete unknown. So I'm assuming this isn't tied to the Sega presentations that will probably be happening later in the year. But they're announcing a new project. We don't really know what this could be. We know that they've got a few different IPs that have got new titles coming up. We don't know what they're going to be doing with Yakuza. We don't know what they're going to be doing with things like, we actually know the Valkyrie profile sort of stuff, actually. We know Sonic is coming. There's a few other ones, but we really aren't sure what this will be. And it's very base. It just says an announcement will happen on June 3rd. So I guess we'll see. Is this going to be a turning point for them? But, yeah. While you might feel a sense of deja vu with the lineup of presenters, please look forward to the announcement. No idea what this means. I literally have no idea what this could mean. Lineup of the same presenters from the Genesis Mega Drive live stream, which ported playable mini console, retweeted the live stream. If they do another mini console, I'll be very upset. Mini Dreamcast? What are they going to do next? I really don't know. Sekiro, but replace the stealth ninjutsu with force powers? Still sounds like it could be just any action game, though. I'd have to see it in motion to sort of pinpoint, I think, more. And this is probably the event that a lot of people will be interested in, which is... So, Sony will be doing a State of Play. And it will be a State of Play around the VR stuff. It sounds like, I don't know if it's exclusively just VR, but it says, didn't name any of the PS5 games that'll appear, but there will be some PS5 games. Yeah, I'm excited for this, but tentative, because it is going to have PSVR be associated to it, but we may get some new titles. If we can get some new exclusives shown off, that would be really good. This June needs to focus on new announcements for titles, because the end of the year, we got a weird gap going on, and hopefully they can fill in the void amongst some of this. So we'll see. But this will be set for June 2nd, so this is actually only 2 days away. 2 days a day, 4 days away. And yeah, so like I said, the ramp up begins now. June is going to have a lot of stuff going on. It'll be VR. It's both VR and non-VR games. It's just how much they're going to have as VR will be curious. And some of those, I'm wondering whether or not some of those PS5 games will also be VR games at the same time. I could play the Seaman game. Yeah. We were literally talking about that game the other day. It's very strange. Maybe there'll be a new Seaman game, considering the ASMR thing. Cross-media! We actually have some cross-media stuff to announce. One of them being the Final Fantasy IX animated series to appear at Expo. So for those who don't know, this was announced not too long back. I think that it kind of fits, but it's curious whether or not it will be a proper telling of Final Fantasy IX, but it sounds like it might be stories within the universe. So not really sure what this is fully, but I would love to see this. I do think that if they do this, they need to make a Final Fantasy IX remake. The fact that they're like doing both they did FF8 and FF7 as re-releases. 9 needs a re-release really bad. I cannot believe we've gotten to this stage where we've had 8 released a few times, and I love 8, but 9 not having one is kind of a sin. So fingers crossed this actually might be them showing some love to get some interest and then actually do the release. But honestly, it feels like the other way around should have been better. But Theme in VR, God, that'd be cursed mix up, but I could see that happening. I know a streamer is doing 9 at the moment. 9 had some, I don't know what's happened, but there's been some revitalization. I think something happened and people have been more vocal about their love for 9 of recent. I was not a 9 fan. 9 equals a sequel? What do you mean, kid? 9 was not really my cup of tea as a kid. It was okay. I'm more of a 7 and 8 fan. 9 has some interesting stuff in terms of mechanics and stuff like that. But honestly, I would take a 6 remake in 3D because I think that would be fucking like some of the visuals in that would be bonkers. But this is a game that needs to be remastered and released. But I prefer 9 over 7. That's the thing. I think everyone has their RPG tastes, and that's 9 is one of those ones. It's less common for people to like this game as much. But it's definitely valid that they should make a re-release in some form. I only know 15, to be honest. Oh god, Superwoman. That's the sad state of affairs. Considering I think 15 is easily the worst Final Fantasy game. Like, I hated 13, but at least that was a complete game. 15 is just a disaster. But, yeah. We'll see. Square's got a lot going on. They got a lot of things to work on, but really, if they can get a good re-release of 9, that would be really nice. Sony announces live-action adaptations of God of War, Horizon, and Gran Turismo? This is very weird. Sony Pictures is very strange. I could see God of War working very well. I don't know if Horizon would work very well, but this is one of those things. We're in that space again where things get announced and who knows if it'll actually come about, but like, it's out there. I don't know if these things will come to pass. Sometimes these get stated and they don't come to pass, but we'll see. Yeah. Since the entertainment firm announced this series of films, they also listed franchises such as Twisted Metal, what the hell, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, and Jak and Daxter. Like, it's very, like, again, don't hold your breath for some of these announcements, but we'll see. The only problem I have with 6 is that Dancing Mad is 17 minutes long. What do you mean is a problem? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem, Red Rover? So I did the raid in Final Fantasy 14 with against Kefka, and Dancing Mad is literally the length of the fight. It's amazing. I love that fight. The hard mode of it has the full Dancing Mad. It's so good. I love it so much. A lot of folks started with 13 and 15. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the hard part mix up. I think that younger people probably people don't know proper Final Fantasy if they've only played 13 and 15, I would say, because that's where the change happened. I would say 13 is when Final Fantasy became a different IP in a sense, unfortunately. But look, I'm not gonna hate on people if they like that stuff. I think 15 is a bad IP, a bad one, just because of the fact of it's an unfinished project. It's not a realized vision. 13, at least they finished each of those visions, even though I don't like them. Live action Horizon, sign me up. We'll see. Don't hold your breath, Superwoman. These are things that just get announced and may not happen. I hated 12. Really, Kit? That's so sad. 12 is the most, has a lot of old school Final Fantasy in it. I absolutely love 12 to death. Zodiac Age is on my list to do one day because I just really want to play that game again. 12 was so good and it was underrated by a fucking mile. I can't get over how good that game looked on it for a PS2. Absolutely insane. Really set the bar high when 13 was coming out. So when 13 came out and I didn't like it, it was a bit rough for me. Successful sales. There's only real one successful sale to talk about this week. And if you've not seen, you probably should know what's coming up. V Rising sells 500,000 copies in 3 days. If you have not seen this game, I've seen a couple of people talk about it on Twitter. Some people will come to me and talk about it. This game is doing numbers. Basically, we've got another Valheim situation. This game genuinely looks quite interesting. And I've thought about maybe playing it. I don't know if it's really a stream game, but yeah. So, like you can see, it's an early access game. You play as a vampire in a medieval setting in an top-down or isometric action RPG, and yeah, survival RPG for that style is not common. I will tell you that. I dislike the fighting style of 12, really. But I enjoyed the story when I watched it. Yeah, the story is a funny one because I feel like the story unfortunately has a bit of issues with it, Red Rover. But it's very inspired by Star Wars is what I'll say. But they kind of changed the story from what they wanted it to be originally. And I think it took a bit of a hit because of that. And the ending is not superb. But the combat, the Gambit system is one of the greatest things in RPGs. I would love Gambit systems to be in more games. Basically having programming in your game for how your party does so that AI isn't just random is brilliant. And the fact that you control each of your individual parties. Ironically, that's why like 15's version of that, like the AI was completely balked. They'd just do silly things. But like in 12, it was just amazing. I think I like 15 because of more of a guild for me. I think it was because I tried the older Final Fantasy games. I always got lost and stuck and didn't know what's going. Yeah, that's fine. So I think that's the thing. If people like 15, they like 15. It's fine. I just have massive issues with it, unfortunately. I couldn't play anymore because with the potato lap, but it did very well. Yeah. I hope V Rising gets on Xbox and PlayStation and do well on those. I would imagine, from what I've seen of this game, hang on, chat. What we'll do is we'll go to the Steam page. And I'll show you a video of this. Genuinely, this looks fun. This might be a game that we might check out at some point. But it's a game that I think would work on... hello? This is a game that would work on consoles pretty easy. And I don't know if they have intentions for it. Can't get the video to play. Steam, please. All right, apparently their previews are not working, but we'll search V Rising. Maybe I can get like a trailer. Trailer. Yeah. But yes, this game seems to be successful for good reason. I just want Final Fantasy to go back to the ATB system because I actually understand how to use it. There's other games, Red Rover. I don't think Final Fantasy will ever go back, but there are other spin-offs and all these other things to play. Final Fantasy exists
Deadly sunlight.
in the old sense, but just in a different way. But yeah, see, we can still see base building and
Piece by piece.
like the isometric sort of view.
The time has come to regain your power and claim what was
Hey Armin, how you doing?
yours.
I drove to Sonic to calm down and went back home. News is good.
Gather your army of darkness.
So it has very much a sort of Diablo sort of vibe to it. So if you're a bit of a Diablo fan, you might be into this as well. So mechanically, I don't know how this kind of works. Like, I don't know if it's pure ARPG or if it's like, it kind of does look like it is pure ARPG, but there's quite a different set of moves and things like that. So it looks like you can make a pretty unique character as well. So for a survival ARPG, this is ticking a lot of boxes, I'll be honest. FF is now an ARPG, friends. That would never happen.
Night have returned. The
Oh wait, you mean like ARPG as an action RPG, not like an isometric RPG. That's the confusing. I feel like ARPG got stated for so long for this style of game that it's now a confusing term for me. I watched Cohen and Dan Gaming and see if it's pretty well done. Yeah, I think this looks good. I'm genuinely think we could check this out at some point, but we'll have to find time. And that's something I don't have. Speaking of time, it's time for big business. So what? Hang on, hold up, chat. Is this screen change? Hang on, something's happened here. Something's happened here. Hang on, I'm just gonna do something because I don't know what's happened here. There we go. All right. Take-Two completes the Zynga acquisition. So I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. Did we talk about this last week? I don't think we did. But this is a very big acquisition. There's so much chat in terms of big acquisitions that are happening. There's literally just one that was rumored to happen, which was not E3, EA. So big companies are making sweeping big purchases and decisions right now. And Zynga is still, they've lost a lot of like finances because of mobile is not doing particularly well right now. But they have been purchased by Take-Two, a company who was possibly going to go under quite a few years back. But they've pulled themselves together and they've somehow gotten to a point now where they've purchased Zynga, which will make them a lot of money for a long time. So this is kind of crazy. We're still in this stage where just big purchases are happening all over the place. This past few years has just been kind of bonkers, and curious what could be next on the chopping block. But it says that transactions see Grand Theft Auto publisher purchased all outstanding shares of the company for approximately $12.7 billion. Kuro! Hi, Kuro. How you doing? Welcome on in. We're just doing the news. We're talking about purchases at the moment. What is that game? What is that game? Wait, that's Valheim. We were literally talking about Valheim 2 seconds ago. Oh, well, I think Kuro's... Oh, I thought she was going to burn to death there. My Time at Sandrock. What is that, Kuro? I have no idea what that is even. I'm assuming it's an indie game. Just having a comfy indie time. But yes. Next up. Raven Software QA Group becomes the first US major video game union. It has happened. Holy shit. After all this time, chat, there is a video game union in America. It's finally happened. I'm very excited. Hey Dapper Sage, welcome on in. My time in potato? My time in a potato. What? The early access version of My Time in Sandrock. What is this? I'll have to look this up. Hang on. I literally have no idea what this is. Wait, what is this game? It's cute looking. So hang on, what? It's okay. So this is a way more expansive game than I thought it was going to be. Oh, cute. Thank you for gifting to Kuro. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, interesting. This is so it's kind of, it's a farming game. Okay, that's what I thought. This is what I was looking for. I was like, is this actually a proper exploration adventure world game? It looks like it's, at a glance, might be closer to, so is it a kind of a, it's like Harvest Moon with a shop and not a farm. Okay, that's what I thought. That makes more sense. Because otherwise that game would be expansive beyond belief if that was the case. But that makes more sense. Cool. I am Gomska. Hello, Gomska. How you doing, Gomska? I think you would like both games, probably. It's very triggering whenever someone has a username with my IRL name and I get shocked that host uses my... Yeah, I would imagine so, Cludimer. But welcome on in. But yes, okay. Back to the major story. So, Raven Software, the QA group that was involved with the Activision, all their stuff, to protect themselves, have established a union, and it is very good to see. It was very worrisome at one point that it might have been squashed, but this is just a good thing to see. There you go. And fingers crossed that this survives a bit of time, because this, remember, they will be going under the Microsoft leadership. Microsoft have talked about how they want to allow them freedom to have that game union ongoing, but we'll see. Curious whether or not ongoing it will survive the test of time, but what I would hope to see is that this first union is successful enough that it breeds other ones throughout America to have more protections established for video game development over there. But as time goes on, this will have to become more and more required. What is this, Superwoman? Is this the trailer for it? So this is a different game. This is My Time in Portatia. So is it by the same developer, Superwoman? Oh, it looks like the same art style. I think we've seen the trailer for this. This looks like a Korean game. Or is it the same game? Hang on, I'm confused. Same developer? Yeah, like the assets look the same. So is it what that other game is, like a pseudo sequel to this? Why is it this game's got so many game modes? What's going on? It's the same devs? Oh, okay. There's a lot going on in this game, isn't there? I'm not sure I'm into the art style of the characters, but yeah, I would say the models are probably not my style, but it looks like a certainly expansive game. I'm an American and I don't believe unions are real. I feel like most Americans don't want them to be real for some reason. I don't understand. Do you know the United States have 33 amendments? I did not know that. But you spilt water on your PC. Gomska. You might want to go get a paper towel. Dab that bad boy up. Okay. I think we watched a trailer for that quite some time ago, Superwoman. Sandrock is after Portation. So as in timeline, they literally have like an ongoing timeline situation. Interesting. All right. It never ends, by the way, chat. So I didn't grab all the Blizzard Activision stuff. There is already so much stuff about that. I did not jump into any of that. But I will talk about this. So we were just talking about Activision merger into Blizzard. But It's good to see that we're going from corrupted to corrupted. Microsoft staff accuse execs of misconduct and abuse. Now, this is something that we've probably not surprised across the board. With Microsoft, not necessarily in the gaming division, across the entire company, has had a lot of stuff for a long time that people have had issues with. But it is kind of crazy to see this sort of come out there again around the same time as the Activision merger. So yeah, I don't know if this is really going to turn into anything. It's basically reports at this point, no lawsuits, but and yeah, we'll have to see. It's definitely, this will be something we might want to keep an eye on, but unfortunately with a lot of whistleblowing, it gets called out, it's articles, and then nothing happens because the company is too big to really do anything about, unfortunately. Corporatism, it's a scary thing. My PC was thirsty. I would highly not suggest to provide a drink to your computer. But it is time for the last article. Microsoft shelves the Keystone Xbox streaming device. If you did not know about this, Microsoft has been trying to figure out how to do a more cloud streaming based solution, which, as I've talked about before, the Stadia was terrible, a bad idea. I do not understand the concept of these devices in the modern sense. We are still not at a point where this can be a solution for video games. I do think that there is capabilities for some video games to be able to do it, not across the board. However, I'll drink after this article, Kaluma. Thank you. But oh my god, that's a lot. This makes sense. Microsoft developing this didn't quite make sense to me. I think they were doing it because purely Google doing it, they had to compete against Microsoft had to compete against Google. I think that was really the reason why this originally was announced and started development. Literally have no idea if this was even close to any form of a prototype to be put out to people. I literally didn't hear it was in hands for anyone. But this is a good thing. I'm kind of glad because it means that Microsoft Gaming Division, which I do worry sometimes get a lot less funding by Microsoft than they probably should be, and a lot less freedom to be able to do what they should do. They weren't forced into a position of putting this out and losing more face. But it's it's basically just it's the news of something that was going to happen, not going to happen, and it's probably better off because of it. So cloud gaming is a funny thing, and it probably will be quite some time before we actually ever see it get fully realized in a way that it is accessible for most people. But that is the last article for today. We actually went a little bit longer than I thought with this one. I'm a little slower today, I feel like, and a little bit more rambly. But we are on the verge of a storm that is going to happen, of a lot of news announcements. The next 2 weeks to 4 weeks are probably going to be quite busy. Our calendar for like the summer of games, the pseudo E3s, the individual events, and all that. Yeah, don't forget your link. I will look at it after we get back from the break, Kit. But we'll see. Hey NZ, welcome on. Unions don't exist because corporations don't want them to exist here. That's the scary thing, Mixer. That's the scary thing about how America is completely ruled by corporatism. And we want to talk. We won't jump into it, but the issues that happen around the the Activision Blizzard lawsuit, and then the fact that the payout that happened for Bobby Kotick was so much more. It was like 700 times the amount that the individuals that were getting for that lawsuit was just kind of disgusting. Like, there's just so much stuff where it's like corporatism won out there, and they can pretty much lawsuits need to keep happening to keep fighting back but it's still in a place where developers are not protected in America, in the gaming industry, and unions need to start coming about, or they need to start having more like pushes towards government to protect essentially that industry. But who knows? I'm still holding on to hope that Persona 4 Gold will release on PlayStation, baby Switch. You might be waiting a while, Superwoman. I again, Atlas are not necessarily a developer that are the type that would necessarily listen to their fan base, unfortunately. I think that they live in their little box, unfortunately. Are you saying capitalism is a bad thing? Without a doubt, I am saying that mix-up. I would play with the idea of, haha, maybe it's not so bad, but no, you want to talk about destructive. There's nothing more destructive. All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back with Hollow Knight, and we will, I think we'll just focus on Hollow Knight for today and tomorrow, because that game's still quite large. I'm looking forward to completing it, but I'm very excited for Stranger of Paradise. Like, it's a funny thing where it's like, Hollow Knight I'm really enjoying it, but you know, when there's that game that you've really been wanting to play, everything else like loses value because you're focused on that. But Hollow Knight I think we're probably halfway through, so we've still got quite some time with it, and I think today and tomorrow we'll have quite a few hours to dig into it. So I hope we get that after I spent 1 hour doing a survey. What survey? What, Persona? Again, I don't think Atlas listens to their people. I don't even think Sega can